I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, laying it all out because I need to get it off my chest. My name's Mike, and I married Jessica about 6 months ago. We'd been together for almost 3 years before tying the knot, and honestly, I thought we were solid. She was the kind of girl who always played it cool, never really showed much emotion, but I figured that was just her personality. She was gorgeous, smart, ambitious, basically everything I ever wanted in a wife. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing little things that didn't sit right. She'd be secretive about her phone all the time, hiding it when I came into the room, deleting messages, changing her password once or twice. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe she just needed privacy. But then little things began to pile up. She was distant, more irritable, snapping at me for no reason. We'd be in bed, and I'd catch her scrolling through her phone obsessively, her eyes darting around like she was hiding something. It wasn't until a few weeks ago that I really started to piece things together. I came home early from work one day because I wasn't feeling well. When I walked into the apartment, I expected to find Jessica lounging around, maybe watching TV or working on her laptop. Instead, I saw her coming out of the bathroom with her shirt slightly askew, her hair a little messy, and her cheeks flushed. She froze when she saw me. I knew something was wrong instantly. The next thing hit me like a dump truck. Her phone was glowing on the kitchen counter, unlocked. I wasn't planning on snooping, but I was curious. I saw a string of messages with someone named Jake, talking about plans to meet up after work, mentioning being hot for each other, and talking about doing things they shouldn't be. I read those texts about how they'd been sneaking around for months, how they'd been screwing around right under my nose, lying about their meetings, all of it. The worst part, she kept saying she loved me, that she was committed, that she'd never do anything to hurt me. It was all a lie. I felt my blood run cold. My first instinct was anger, not just at her, but at myself for not seeing it sooner. How could I have missed all the signs? The little lies, the secretive behavior, the way she'd always dodge my questions about her whereabouts. I was so blindsided I didn't even know what to say. I just stood there clutching that phone, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. How long had she been lying? How many times had she been with Jake behind my back? I couldn't believe I married someone who was capable of cheating on me with her coworker, Jake. The night after that discovery, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over everything in my head, her sneaking around, her telling me she was so busy at work, her excuses about needing to vent after a tough day. I felt like a fool. I wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I needed to calm down first. Still, the urge to just ask her outright was overwhelming. How could she lie so effortlessly, so brazenly, while acting like the perfect wife? It was like I was living with a different person all along. Eventually, I decided I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. I needed answers. The next morning, I sat her down in our living room. She was bitchy from the start, rolling her eyes like I was bothering her. She tried to brush it off, saying I was paranoid, that I was overthinking things. She told me Jake was just a friend she'd met at work, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. She even had the nerve to say I was insecure, that I didn't trust her. That made my blood boil. How could she be so dismissive after I just read her texts? Her reaction only confirmed what I already knew deep down. She was lying blatantly, unapologetically lying. She looked me in the eye and kept insisting she was innocent, that I was imagining things, that I shouldn't jump to conclusions. But I wasn't stupid. I knew what I saw, I knew the truth. And that truth was devastating. I'd married a woman who had been screwing around with her coworker while planning to leave me after the wedding, just like that. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious all at once. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. My gut was telling me I'd been played, and I didn't know how to process it all yet. After that confrontation, everything changed. Jessica kept up her act of innocence, but I could see right through her. She was good at lying, so good that even her own words seemed rehearsed. She kept insisting she never slept with Jake, that those texts were just flirtatious banter, that I was reading too much into it. She called me paranoid, insecure, jealous, like I was the crazy one, but I wasn't stupid anymore. I had proof, and I knew she was lying. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, trying to piece together what the hell I did wrong, why I didn't see it coming. I kept thinking about all the little signs I ignored, her frequent late nights, her weird mood swings, her secretive phone habits. It all made sense now. She'd been sneaking around behind my back for months, probably even before the wedding, and I was just too blind to see it. The betrayal cut deep. The next day, I decided I needed a plan. I couldn't just storm in and accuse her again. That would only make things worse. I needed to find out exactly how deep this went, what Jake meant to her, how long she'd been lying to my face. I started digging into her phone and her computer more carefully, searching for any other evidence. I found messages from Jake that were even more explicit, talking about their plans to meet, describing their sexcapades, even joking about how I'd never find out. It was like a punch in the gut every time I read another message. I also noticed she was acting even more bitchy and defensive. Whenever I brought up anything remotely suspicious, she'd blow up, calling me crazy, accusing me of spying on her, saying I was controlling. Honestly, it was pathetic how she kept twisting everything around. I had the proof, but I wasn't ready to confront her yet. I needed to keep my cool, gather my thoughts, and decide what I was going to do next. One thing I did realize was that I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I'd been naive, trusting her blindly. But now I saw her for what she really was, a liar, a cheat, someone willing to destroy what we had just to get her kicks with Jake. I felt humiliated but also furious. How dare she think she could get away with it? How could she lie to my face, act like everything was normal when she was out screwing her coworker? The more I thought about it, the more I knew I had to do something drastic. I couldn't just let her keep lying and then pretend everything was okay. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done. It wasn't just about trust anymore. It was about justice. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me, not after what I'd found out. I decided I'd give her an ultimatum. Either she comes clean and we work this out, or I walk away and expose her to everyone. But I wasn't going to let her keep her secret any longer. Meanwhile, she kept trying to manipulate me, throwing in her usual accusations and crying about how I was destroying our marriage over nothing. She even had the nerve to say Jake was just a close friend, that I was jealous and insecure. I couldn't believe how she kept lying, how she thought she could keep up the act. I knew her tricks now and I wasn't going to fall for it. I kept cool, but inside I was boiling. I felt like I was living in some nightmare where everything I thought I knew about her was a lie. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and all I wanted was to get to the truth, no matter how ugly it was. That's where I'm at now. I've got the evidence and I'm ready to confront her again, but this time I'm not holding back. I want to see her squirm, want her to realize I'm serious. I don't know what the hell I'll do if she keeps lying or if she admits to everything. Honestly, I'm just trying to breathe through the anger and heartbreak, trying to figure out the next move. This isn't what I expected when I married Jessica, not by a long shot. I thought I knew her, but I was dead wrong. The moment I sat down with Jessica again, I could see the panic in her eyes. She knew I had all the evidence now, those texts, the screenshots, everything. I kept my cool as I looked her straight in the face and told her I knew about Jake, about the affair, about her lies. The way she reacted was almost predictable, her bitchy attitude immediately kicked in and she started flipping her story, trying to deny everything again. She told me that Jake was just a work friend, that they only texted about projects, deadlines, and some mutual frustrations at work. She claimed she was just venting, that I was being paranoid, that I was inventing things because I didn't trust her. She even had the nerve to say Jake was just a buddy, that they'd never crossed any lines. Funny because I had those explicit messages right in front of me and I knew better. Still, she kept insisting she never cheated on me, never slept with him, that I was just jealous and insecure. I could feel my blood boiling. It was like I was talking to a wall of lies. All those signs, the secretive behavior, the late nights, the weird mood swings, I'd ignored them all and now I was paying the price. Jessica kept crying, trying to make me feel guilty, saying I was ruining everything over nothing. She even accused me of being controlling, of spying on her because I didn't trust her. I almost laughed. She wanted to play the victim, but I knew she was the villain. She had been lying to my face for months, probably even longer. I asked her outright if she had slept with Jake. She looked me in the eyes and said no, just kissed maybe, but nothing past that. I didn't buy it, I knew better. Those texts proved more than a kiss. They talked about sex, about plans to meet up after work, about how hot they found each other. She was lying, and I could see it in her eyes. She was trying to keep her story together, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like a fool for trusting her so blindly. At that point, I was torn between anger and sadness. Part of me wanted to lose it, to scream at her and break everything around us. But I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I had to think clearly. I told her I needed some time to process everything, and I walked out of the room. I went straight to my office and started writing everything down, the dates, the messages, her reactions. I wanted everything documented, just in case I needed proof later. I had to be smart about this. While I was doing that, Jessica kept trying to gaslight me, saying I was blowing things out of proportion, that I was the one making her life miserable. She said she loved me, that she never wanted to hurt me. Her words felt hollow. She was just spinning a web of lies to cover her ass. I realized I couldn't trust her anymore, not fully. Maybe I'd been naive before, but now I saw her for what she was, a manipulative, lying woman who was willing to cheat and betray me without remorse. I also started feeling a strange mix of pain and rage. How could she do this to me, to what we had? I had invested so much in us, and now I was left with nothing but a broken trust and a shattered heart. My mind kept jumping between wanting to forgive her and wanting to ruin her life. I wasn't sure which would come first. I knew I needed to make some tough decisions soon, but right now, I was just trying to hold it together. One thing that stood out to me was her attitude, so bitchy, so dismissive. Like I was just some obstacle in her way, not the man she claimed to love. That realization hit hard. It wasn't just about the cheating, it was about how she saw me, like I wasn't worth honesty, like I was just someone to use and toss aside. That realization made the anger even worse. I've been a fool for thinking I was special to her. I don't know what's coming next, but I do know I can't stay in this limbo forever. I need to decide whether this marriage is salvageable or if I should just walk away and cut my losses. I'm not the type to play the victim, but honestly, I feel like I've been ground down by her lies and betrayal. I guess I'm just trying to figure out what's right, for me, not for her. And I keep telling myself that I deserve better than someone who would cheat and lie so easily. After a few days of mulling everything over, I knew I couldn't keep pretending things were okay. Every time I looked at Jessica, I saw a certain coldness, like she was already checked out. She kept up her act of being the innocent victim, but I wasn't buying it anymore. The proof was there, in black and white, and her behavior only confirmed what I already knew. She was a liar, a cheater, and she had no respect for what we had. One night I decided I had enough. I called her into the living room, told her I wanted to talk seriously. She tried to act like everything was normal, but I cut her off. I told her I had seen everything, her texts, her lies, her denial, and that I wasn't going to stand for it anymore. I told her she'd been caught red-handed, and if she wanted to save what was left of this marriage, she needed to be honest with me now. Her bitchy attitude kicked in full force. She crossed her arms, rolled her eyes, and spat. "You're overreacting. You always blow things out of proportion. I don't know what you want from me." I took a deep breath and looked her straight in the eye. I said, "I want the truth. Did you sleep with Jake? Be honest." She hesitated for a moment, then finally said, "Okay, maybe we did more than just kiss once or twice, but it was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just sex. It meant nothing." Hearing her say that, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Sex. That's what she called it, just a mistake, like a minor slip-up. But to me, it was so much more. It wasn't just about the sex, it was about her lying to my face, betraying my trust, and doing it with someone I thought was a friend. I was furious. I could feel my blood boiling, my hands trembling. I told her that her mistake was the biggest betrayal I'd ever experienced, and that I couldn't just brush it off. I asked her why she did it, why she thought she could get away with lying to me for so long. She looked uncomfortable, but she still tried to justify herself, saying she felt trapped, that I wasn't giving her enough attention, that Jake was just a distraction from her boring life. That made me even angrier. Her excuses sounded hollow and manipulative. She was trying to make me feel guilty for catching her, like I was the one who was wrong for feeling hurt. But I wasn't going to fall for that. I told her this was just about the sex or the lying. It was about her disrespecting me, disrespecting our vows, and her complete inability to be honest and faithful. I told her I needed some space to think, time to decide whether I could forgive her or if I was done. I couldn't live with the idea that I married someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. She begged, of course, crying and saying she loved me, that she'd change, that she'd do anything to fix things. But I'd heard enough. I told her I didn't believe her anymore. I told her she had to leave for a while and I needed to sort myself out. The next morning, I packed up some of her clothes and told her she could stay at her sister's place for now. She threw a tantrum, calling me cruel, saying I was overreacting again. But honestly, I felt nothing but cold toward her. She had lied, cheated, and manipulated me for months. She thought she could just brush it off and pretend everything was fine. I was done pretending. I knew I had to face the reality that our marriage was probably over. That night, I sat alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I got here. I thought about all the plans we made, all the dreams we shared, and how it all crumbled so quickly. I felt crushed, humiliated, and angry that she could treat me like this. It was like I'd been living with a stranger all along, someone who lied, cheated, and played me like a fool. Now I'm just trying to breathe, trying to figure out what my next step is. Do I fight for what's left? Do I walk away and start over? Honestly, I'm leaning toward walking away. I can't imagine trusting her again, not after this. But part of me still hopes I'll find some strength to move on. I know I deserve better, and I won't let her destroy what's left of my self-respect. I just wish I could forget this whole nightmare and go back to believing in the person I thought she was. It's been a few days since I kicked her out, and honestly, the silence is deafening. I keep going over everything in my head, trying to find some clarity, some reason why I should stay or why I should just cut my losses and walk away. The truth is, I feel so incredibly betrayed. It's like my whole world has been turned upside down. I never thought I'd end up in a situation where the woman I loved and trusted so completely was capable of lying, cheating, and messing around with her coworker Jake right behind my back. Honestly, the emotional roller coaster has been brutal. Some moments I feel angry enough to explode, to call her, to scream at her, to tell her how much I hate her for what she's done. Other moments, I feel this deep, aching sadness that just refuses to go away. I keep thinking about the good times, about the plans we made, about how I believed she loved me. And then I remember the texts, the lies, the way she dismissed my concerns like I was just some obstacle in her way. That's when the rage really kicks in. I started talking to some friends, trying to get some perspective. Most of them were pissed off for me, telling me I deserved someone who wouldn't cheat and lie. But some of them warned me that walking away now might be a mistake, that maybe I should give her a chance to explain herself to prove she's changed. Honestly, I don't know what to believe anymore. Part of me wants to believe she's genuinely sorry, that maybe she's scared to lose everything. But another part just feels numb, like I've already lost myself in all this mess. I also started looking into what my options are legally and financially. Honestly, I don't want to drag this out, but I know I need to be smart. I've already started gathering all the proof, the texts, the screenshots, the emails. I want to be prepared if I decide to file for divorce. I also realized I have no idea if she's planning to leave me after the honeymoon, as she once said she was. The thought that she might have been planning this all along, that she's been lying to me right from the start, it's enough to make me sick. But beneath all that anger and sadness, there's this little voice inside that's telling me I need to stay strong, that I deserve better than someone who cheats and lies and manipulates. I keep telling myself that I'm better off without her, even if it hurts like hell right now. I keep asking myself what I want. Do I want to fight for a marriage that's already broken, or do I just cut my losses and move on? The truth is, I don't have the answer yet. I'm still in shock, still trying to process everything. Tonight, I finally sat down and wrote a letter to myself, sort of a journal entry. I told myself I needed to be honest, to acknowledge everything I was feeling. I admitted I was hurt, betrayed, and angry, but also that I was strong enough to move past this if that's what I decided. I reminded myself that I had value, that I shouldn't settle for someone who doesn't respect me enough to be truthful. I said I would give myself time to heal and decide what's best for me, not just what I think I should do immediately. Honestly, I don't know how much more I can take. It's like I'm walking around in a fog, trying to keep my head above water. Every day feels like a battle between my logic and my emotions. I want to believe I can forgive her, but every time I think about her with Jake, about all the lies, I feel this deep ache inside. I'm terrified that I'll never trust anyone again, that I'll carry this pain forever. But I also know I have to find a way to move forward, even if it's just step by step. Right now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I don't want to rush into any decisions. I need to be sure I do what's right for me. But one thing's clear. I'm not going to stay in this toxic, dishonest marriage just to avoid the pain of breaking free. I've learned that trusting blindly only gets you hurt. And I'll never let myself be that naive again. I deserve someone who respects me, who loves me enough not to cheat, and who's honest from the start. That's what I have to remind myself every day. Today, I finally reached a decision. I've spent so much time trying to understand, forgiving, questioning whether I should fight for what we had or just walk away. But deep down, I know I can't rebuild what's broken when the foundation was already shattered by lies and betrayal. I can't trust her anymore. Not after she lied about sleeping with Jake, not after she dismissed my concerns. As paranoia, it's clear to me now that staying in this marriage would only mean more pain, more lies, more heartbreak down the line. So I sat her down one last time, not with anger this time, but with a resolute calmness. I told her I was done. Done with the lies, the manipulations, the betrayal. I explained that I had given her enough chances to come clean, to be honest, and she chose to keep lying. I told her I couldn't live in a relationship where I was constantly questioning, doubting, and feeling like a fool. I told her that I deserved better, someone who respects me, who loves me honestly, who isn't willing to cheat and hide behind a mountain of lies. She tried to plead, tried to manipulate, but I cut her off. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about my dignity. I told her I was filing for divorce, that I would be taking everything I could, my rights, my peace, my sanity, and moving on. I told her that I didn't want to hear another word of her excuses, her apologies, or her promises to change, because I'd heard it all before and none of it meant a thing anymore. As I write this now, I feel this strange mixture of relief and devastation. It's like I've been carrying this weight around for months, and finally I've laid it down. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'm finally free from the grip of her lies. I've come to accept that some betrayals are impossible to repair, that there are wounds too deep to heal. Looking back, I realize I learned a lot through this ordeal. I learned that trust should never be taken for granted, that honesty is the backbone of any relationship, and that sometimes love isn't enough to fix a broken connection. I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I have the resilience to pick myself up after being knocked down, to walk away from something that no longer serves me. To anyone out there going through something similar, who feels betrayed, hurt, or unsure what to do, my advice is this: listen to your gut. Don't dismiss the signs, don't excuse the lies, and don't stay in a relationship that makes you doubt your worth. You deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty. If those things are missing, don't be afraid to walk away. Because at the end of the day, your happiness and peace of mind matter more than holding onto something that's already gone. I don't know what my future holds now, but I do know I'm finally taking the first steps to heal. I'll find happiness again, probably not with her, but somewhere down the line I will. For now, I'll focus on myself, rebuild what I've lost, and remember that even in betrayal, there's a chance to find strength and a new beginning.